Hello everyone, welcome to Veranda IAS. Now students, in today's session, we will be discussing about some of the questions that have been asked in the previous year's prelims examination. Now the idea, the reason for taking this session is actually to show you people that what is the level of the questions that is being asked in the UPSC examination, and also what exactly is the level of the questions, how oriented your preparation should be, what should be the approach to answer one particular question. So students, let's start this session and we will be discussing all these questions that have been asked in previous years, right? Now, objective, like I told you, that we will be discussing previous year's prelims examination questions. Okay, for example, just look at what is being asked. Okay, it's not a test for you people, it's just an idea that I'm actually trying to show in front of you guys, that these are the questions and what should be the right approach, or what should be the method of how actually to start your preparation. Okay, so it happens many times that being a student, what we see is sometimes we might not find something quite interesting. So what happens is we generally tend to leave that thing. We don't have to follow this approach here. Questions in UPSC, they can come from anywhere. Okay, so let's start with this question. Which one of the following groups of plant was domesticated in the New World and introduced in the Old World? See students, I told you before, there is no need to panic or think anything. You must have heard these terms, the new word, the old word, for the first time. So when you have started your preparation, and if you are referring to the NCERTs, you will find a very clear mention of the new world and the old world in your NCERTs. So when you have an idea about the new world and old world in your NCERTs, that means you can actually see the relevance or the importance what NCERT plays in your preparation. The question here says, which one of the following groups of plant was domesticated in the New World and introduced into the Old World? It actually came in the Old World pattern, Old World scenario, but later on it was domesticated. So you have all these options here. Let's go through it. Tobacco, cocoa and rubber. Tobacco, cotton and rubber. Cotton, coffee, sugarcane. Rubber, coffee and wheat. Now see, with reference to this question, I will just give you an answer. There has been a sequence. There has been always two power groups. If you study the pattern of history starting from the medieval world till the present time scenario, what we can see, what we can observe is that there has been a fight for power between two countries. Initially it all started with Spain and Portugal. Columbus was a Spanish. Vasco da Gama was a Portuguese. Now we all know how excited both these countries were and how excited both these people were to reach India. However, Vasco da Gama reached India and Columbus, he invented the West Indies Islands, later on America. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is, in the initial times, I'm saying with reference to the 15th century, the entire focus was towards the South American islands. These were the places where actually the power struggle got started. After a couple of hundred of years later, it was England, Great Britain, who entered into this war. By now, the supremacy or the power of the Portuguese and the Spanish, it started reducing. Now, there was an imminent rise of another country along with the Great Britain, that was France. Now, France, along with its leadership and later on with the help of Napoleon, it actually presented itself as a very superior challenge before the Great Britain. These things, they kept on going till World War I, World War II. After the World War II got over, there was again a rise of two new powers. Now, this was absolutely different. One power was United States of America and the other power was USSR. After the disintegration of USSR in 1990-1991, there was a vacant space. Now, that vacant space was actually occupied by a country today, that is China. So what I'm trying to say here is there has been a constant fight for struggle, or constant struggle for power between two countries. Now, those two countries, like I have mentioned, followed the same idea. This idea of the new world and the old world will also be discussed in those same sessions where we will be discussing about the entire things that I have told you. Now, let's come on to your question. The answer for this question is very simple: tobacco, cocoa, and rubber. It is about the crops that actually, for the first time, they came into existence during the old world, but their domestication, that is, these crops being used as cash crops, it started in the new world pattern. Okay, the idea of old and the new world can be very easily accessed from NCERTs. So you can see what exactly is the level of question. You might find it difficult for the first time because you haven't started your preparation yet. But once when you have gone through the NCERTs, you will be very easily able to, you will be able to answer all these questions. Now, similarly, with reference to the new world and the old world, and with reference to this cropping, plantation, there is one very important term. The indentured laborers. Now, if you people watch cricket, because I know cricket, reason being I only watch that sport, that's the reason I'm using the reference of cricket. So, if you have seen the West Indies team, you might have come across many players like Shivnarayan Chandrapal. There are several other players. Now, did you ever imagine that in the West Indies Islands, how come a person with Indian origin is there? The reason for that is all those people, their ancestors were brought from India as indentured laborers, not only just to West Indies but also to Mauritius, etc. Okay, so if you ever go to Mauritius, you will find almost 50% population of North Indians there, specifically North Indians there. All of those, their ancestors were brought as indentured laborers, right? Next question. With reference to the cultural history of India, consider the following pairs. Now, here we are taking an initiative from the art and culture segment. Okay, the art and culture segment. What exactly does the question says? The question says, with reference to the cultural history of India, consider the following pairs. Parivarajaka, Renaissance and Wanderer. Sharamana, priest with a high status. Upasak, lay follower of Buddhism. Which of the pairs given above are correctly matched? Now, this was a question that was asked in 2020. Now, students, when you will read about Buddhism in your NCERTs, you will have a very clear idea. I'm not talking about the sects. Yes, the sections will definitely be mentioned, but all these things, Sharmana, Parivajaka or Upasaka, all these things, they have a mention in the NCERT. They are asking that with reference to the names that are given here, there is a definition provided. Now, which of these following pairs are correct? Okay, so what you can see here is Parivarajaka, Renaissance and Wanderer. This is the correct one. Sharmana, a priest with a high status. Now this is an incorrect match, because when you will go through the NCRTs, no, you will find the meaning, the terminology Sharmana is used for something else. Upasak was a lay follower, an ardent follower of Buddhism. That means in this particular question, what we can say is the pairs correctly matched are statement number 1 and statement number 3. That is this one. See, the idea here is not to check what you know. The idea here is what exactly is the importance of NCRTs, okay, or how basic the questions can be, right? Next. With reference to the cultural history of India, which of the following is the correct description of the term paramitas? Okay, now paramitas is a definition that has been asked here. With reference to the cultural history, now when I'm referring cultural history, again a significant section from art and culture, and that too a very basic one. Now when you will be having, you might not found the discussion of this term paramitas in your NCRTs, okay, but when you will be referring to the class notes, the class data, very easily the tutor will definitely give you an idea about paramitas, what exactly it is. The earliest Dharma Shastra texts are written in aphoristic sutra style, okay, sutra style. Do we mean paramitas by that? Philosophical schools that did not accept the authority of Vedas. Here we are talking about those schools, those ideas that actually didn't accepted the uniqueness and the authority of the Vedas. The number 3, perfections whose attainment led to the Bodhisattva path. Yes, paramitas, that path that is required, okay, the ideas, the perfections whose attainment will ultimately lead a person towards the path of Bodhisattva, okay, that exactly what you mean by paramitas. The 4th one is powerful merchant guilds of early medieval South India. No, it has got no relevance. So what we can say here is option number 3 is our correct answer. You can look at the level of question. See, just a focused study will actually help you. It will help you big time in order to ensure that the marks that you are obtaining, that marks that you are actually getting is very, very easy to score, okay? Next, who among the following rulers advised his subjects through this inscription, okay? Whosoever praises his religious sect or blames other sects out of excessive devotion to his own sect with the view of glorifying his own sect, he rather injures his own sect very severely. Now, the idea mentioned here is there is an inscription and there is a description. Now, in case if you don't know about what exactly is being asked or what exactly is being said in this question, one thing that we are very much known and peculiar about is that out of the given 4 options, let's first discuss the 4 options: Ashok, Samudragupta, Harshvardhan and Krishnadev Rai. Now, with reference to the given options and also with the mentioning of the religions, one thing is quite clear. What is that one thing? That one thing is, out of these 4 rulers, there was one ruler whose religious inclination later on changed and he ultimately followed the path of religion, followed the path of Buddhism, followed the path of non-violence. Who was out of these 4? It was Ashoka. So yes, even if you don't have an idea about this, you can make a judgment, okay? Here it will be a calculated guess, right? So this is how you can also sometimes, when you don't have a clue, when you don't have an idea, you can just relate these people. Samudragupta is known as Napoleon of India. So definitely we are talking about the naval defense system, what he must have developed, or his army or navy that he developed, okay? Similarly, for Krishnadev Rai, we know that he was prominent for art and culture. See, we have the options here. It's all about how you approach, how you actually look into a particular question or look into a particular situation. Okay, so the correct answer here for this particular question will be Ashoka. It was Ashoka who said, whosoever praises his religious sect or blames other sect out of excessive devotion to his own sect with the view of glorifying his own sect, he rather injures his own sect very severely. The idea was towards focusing not just their own religion, but also giving equal importance to the other sections of the society as well, with reference to religion. Okay? Next. With reference to the scholars' literatures of ancient India, consider the following statement. Panini is associated with Pushyamitra Shunga. Amarsimha is associated with Harshvardhan. Kalidas is associated with Chandragupta II. Now, which of the following statements given are correct? Okay, now you have your question here. Now, there is a pattern, the pattern for the writers, the composers, and they are associated with the kings. Now, you have to tell that out of these given options, which is correct and which is incorrect. Again, now when you will be referring to, see, I will suggest with reference to art and culture and ancient India, the Tamil Nadu NCERT, they are of immense help. They are of great help. So if you are following ancient and art and culture from Tamil Nadu NCERTs, so I'm telling you, everything, each and everything is very easily associated there. You will find mention of Panini, you will find mention of Amarsinha, you will find mention of Kalidasa. Absolutely, very easily given, very easily provided to you. The correct answer for this question is going to be Kalidas was associated with Chandragupta. Okay, see, the reason why I'm just taking these questions here is just to show you guys that the level is not that difficult. Now, if you haven't studied, if you haven't prepared, obviously everything that you will see will be completely unknown. But if you have gone through the details, then trust me, students, these questions that have been asked, they are nothing. They are very easy. All you have to do, all you have to follow is the right approach, and the right approach will definitely start with the NCERTs and the pattern that I have told you in my previous sessions. Okay, so the correct association here will be Kalidas was associated with Chandragupta. Okay, next. Which of the following kingdoms were associated with the life of Buddha? Now, this question is a very famous question and is a very favorite question of UPSC. UPSC has asked this question in 2014. They have asked this question in 2015. Okay, they have recently asked this question in, I think, 2019 as well. So now here, when you will be studying about Buddhism, so obviously you will be studying about Gautam Buddha. What was his journey? From where did he started? Okay, where did he attain salvation? Where did he got all the idea of Gyan? Okay, moksha, everything, every idea. Okay, so options are Avanti, Gandhar, Kosal, Magad. Now, the right answer here will be a very important instance. For example, let's say you haven't read this. You haven't read this completely. You actually forgot whatever was with Buddhism. One very famous story. You must have heard of a bandit whose name was Ungli Mal. Now, Ungli Mal was that person who used to wear a necklace and it had the thumb of people around them. Now, it was during the reign of a ruler whose name was Prasannajit, and Prasannajit was a ruler of Kosal Pradesh, a Mahajanpad. Now, that Kosal Pradesh was actually, when it was administered by Prasannajit, it was under there was a lot of hue and cry with reference to Ungli Mal. Gautam Buddha gave a sermon. Gautam Buddha met Ungli Mal and he convinced him to follow the path of righteousness. Ultimately, Ungli Mal, he transformed into a different person. So one thing that is quite clear is option 3 has to be in your answer. Okay, So option 3 is present everywhere. What about the rest? The rest would be, next one is Gandhar. No significant relation of Gautam Buddha with Magad can be found. Okay, so ultimately that means fourth cannot be your option, right? So what you have here is these two options, they can be very easily reduced. Ultimately Avanti also has got no relation. Again, why am I saying this? It is very easy for me because I have already read this thing. But when you will be studying your NCERTs, the entire picture will be very much clear to you. So ultimately the answer has to be what? Option number B, which says statement 2 and 3. Who among the following Mughal emperors shifted emphasis from illustrated manuscripts to album and individual portrait? Options are Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir and Shah Jahan. See students, every time, whenever anyone asks you a question with reference to any improvement in art, culture and architecture in the Mughal reign, the answer has to be Jahangir. Every cultural advancement that happened, it happened during the reign of Jahangir. So the right answer here would be Jahangir. Okay. No, you don't even have to think about that. Okay, there are several questions, there are several answers which are like, it has to be only this one. There is no other way through which some other option can be your answer, right? Next. Consider the following statements. Saint Nimbarka was a contemporary of Akbar. Saint Kabir was greatly influenced by Shaikh Ahmad Sirhandi. Which of the following statements is or are correct? Now, first of all, you have to see what was the time. Now, if we speak with reference to Sant Kabir, he was born in 1398 and he died in 1518. Okay, now this was the tenure of Kabir. Now, was Kabir influenced by Sheikh Ahmad Sirhandi? And the second one, Sant Nimbarka was a contemporary. Was Sant Nimbarka present during the time of Akbar? So students, when you will be studying the Bhakti movement, you will come across all these names along with their time, their duration. Very simple. Again, given in NCERT, the correct answer here would be what? Neither 1 or 2. Both the statements are incorrect here. Okay, both. Kabir was not influenced by Sheikh Ahmad Sirhandi, and also Sant Nimbarka, she wasn't a contemporary of Akbar. Okay, so you can see here what exactly are the questions, what exactly is the level of the questions that is being asked. And students, that's why I'm saying shift your focus. Okay, do not make your preparation unnecessarily extremely difficult. Follow an idea, follow an approach. Your objective is to clear paper. Okay, your objective is to clear this examination, right? And it has to start only and only with NCERTs. Okay, so students, this was with today's session. Thank you very much.